Welcome, Commissioner. It's always a pleasure to have you attend a committee. Looking forward to your evidence. I'll get right to it. Unfortunately, most recent events have been not only tragic, have been disturbing, but in my view, it has galvanized public opinion. It has galvanized police services. It has galvanized police associations, police chiefs, advocacy groups, Canadian public, that there is a serious problem with the bail system here in Canada. Would you agree with me, sir, that given your recent statements in the last few weeks, you've been extremely critical of our bail system? Do you agree, Commissioner, that our system is broken?
I definitely feel that our system is in desperate need of some very meaningful change that will ensure repeat violent offenders who have shown a propensity for using weapons against victims are held accountable and held in custody so they can't further victimize innocent community members and risk the lives of police officers. Change is needed.
And we clearly both agree that the vast majority of Canadians charged with criminal offences, rightfully so, exercise their constitutional rights to be presumed innocent and to be released on bail. This study is not about those individuals. This study is about the individuals that you just quoted in your statistics, which I didn't do the math on a calculator, but by my count, we're talking about 80% are repeat offenders that the OPP are charging on a regular basis. And of that 80%, we have individuals who are using firearms. You agree with me, sir, that firearms, not only in Ontario, but across this country, has seen a considerable spike in terms of its usage in the commission of crime over the last several years?
Absolutely, I would agree with that statement. Day in and day out, my officers are seizing more firearms than we ever thought would be available in communities across this country. Just 3 days ago, we had an offender that had been released on bail for possession of a firearm. Within days of being released on bail, was arrested in the possession of numerous firearms yet again.
And would you agree with me that I'd say 100% or pretty close to 100% of all the criminals who freely use guns in the commission of the offense are those very same individuals who treat bail release papers as a piece of paper only with no obligation to comply?
I would agree that we see a higher rate of violation of bail conditions for those that use firearms in the commission of violent offenses.
We both agree that the senseless murder of OPP officer Priscilla did not have to happen if the system worked as planned, correct?
Correct.
There was a breakdown in terms of the decision that the justice made at the bail review stage. There was a breakdown in the level of supervision that his own mother was providing to this individual. This individual, you would agree with me, was released on the highest rung of that proverbial ladder that the Supreme Court of Canada references in ANTIC. House arrest, electronic monitoring, not possessing any weapons, not being out at all unless he is with his mother for court appearances and attendances at his lawyer's office. You couldn't get a stronger release than what the justice released that individual on. Would you agree?
I would agree.
And yet that very same individual disregarded everything that the justice had said, including not attending his very first court date.
Correct, sir.
So, with the little amount of time that I have, I'm going to ask you specifically, what reforms and what amendments would you like this committee to consider, sir?
Thank you. In expansion to my reference to Section 515, subsection 10B in my opening statement, those public safety considerations that need to be given due weight and consideration, I would like to see expansion of reverse onus provisions for firearm possession offenses as they relate to repeat violent offenders or serious prolific offenders, and a definition of a serious prolific or repeat violent offender. Codified public safety considerations before bail is granted, and greater surety accountability for those who take responsibility for those who have been released.
Thank you. Chair, I'm going to cede my last 30 seconds to my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I believe everybody on this committee sends their condolences for the loss of your fallen officer. It's people like you and people like him and all of you who keep us safe, so thank you. Commissioner, I tabled recently Bill C-313. Have you had a chance to review that, Bill?
I have, sir, yes.
Okay. Are you able to provide any commentary on that to this committee in a few seconds, or your position on it?
It is very consistent with the same recommendations that you have heard from me thus far before this committee, and very consistent with the recommendations I'm hearing from other police leaders right across this country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caputo. Thank you, Mr. Brock.